Welcome back to Office HD. And it's another week of Soccer Down Here, Soccer's Morning Show. John, hear you there. And hoping that you are in preparations of taking care of yourself as best you can. For those of you that are outside the immediate footprint, hopefully the weather is behaving. If it is not, then I'm hoping that you are all safe in your environments this weekend, just this week. And that's what a 7-hour drive will do for you. So just make sure the next couple of days that you're very safe, unless you're already involved in it, and staying safe and staying warm and making sure that everything is okay, that we all can get through the winter storm that is going on here in the Southeast and the massive winter storm that's going on in the rest of the country. So just keep an eye on yourselves, keep an eye on each other, and everything's going to be fine. Just make sure that next couple of days you might want to run your spigots just a little bit. Make sure that you don't get your pipes frozen, all that kind of stuff. Take care of your pets, take care of your plants, take care of your people. 3 Ps. So, John, hear you there. It's another go-around of Soccer Down Here. Thanks for hanging out with us. This morning, it is Strikers and Keepers Report. Morning, Del. And Atlanta United is in camp, and they're off and running. Obviously, we've got news there. The Thiago Almada update, we'll run through that, and we'll go through what you guys are processing when it comes to that particular piece of information. Miles Robinson got to talk at Cincinnati, and so we have that. We're tracking down Laurel Failer to get her perspective on what's going on. No Brandon Vasquez now at that official. Miles Robinson talks. That's official, and we'll see how things are up in Cincinnati and all around Major League Soccer. We are still waiting on an update on Bartosz Slisz, and we will see what the latest is there. If you were looking and stalking on social media, you got to see that his better half was taking pictures of a flight coming over from Europe, and there was some celebrating going on. At least there was inside a glass. Whether it was a particular if more than one glass, we don't know. We just know there was one glass. We know they were celebrating. We know they were sitting on a plane. So we do not have an update on Bartosz Slisz, but the numbers look like they've been agreed to at $3.5 million from Legia Warsaw, and we'll see what happens there. Like I said, we'll get into the Thiago Almada situation coming up in just a little bit. Yeah, Ropes, exactly. Crossing fingers that visas get done quickly. We'll keep an eye on that. Sebastian Driussi, by the way, got a green card over the weekend, so he will not count against the international numbers for Austin FC. There's some transactions Major League Soccer will walk through and get you ready for that. But in the gossip, rumor, and innuendo, you've got AFCON, you've got Asia Cup. What happened in the first couple of days of those two tournaments, we'll get into that. Michael in the turf, and Michael will get into that. Miles confirmed what he feared. Some players will choose not to have turf as their home field. It cost us players and money. That was Miles' thought. Don't know. I mean, this is a case, and Brad Gazan certainly didn't seem to have any issues with the turf. But it's Miles' choice, and I think that going forward, to Michael's point, asking the players individually, and this literally take this as a case-by-case basis, all right, was it a choice? Was it not a choice? And then, remembering also, and where Miles is concerned, if he is of a mindset that if, in his brain, with his analysis, with his analysts and his analysis and everything, all the empirical evidence that he pieced together, if he wants to play on grass, which really at times isn't forgiving, is as forgiving as turf and as climate controlled as turf is, that's Miles's choice. But I think that going forward, we probably should have in these free agent signings involving knee injuries and Achilles and things like that, you want to sit there and you choose a playing surface. So I think that going forward, we should have empirical evidence to see how many players, when they do change locales, when asked about this, say that's a contributing factor. So we know now what's up with Miles. That was part of his decision. And so Atlanta United offered a 4-year max with what they could do, and part of the deal with Miles, like I said, we'll go through it with what Laurel Pfahler caught up with Miles and found out, but we'll get into that in just a sec. Michael Ruiz in this morning about the fact that Tony Annan's Gamecocks, Tony Annan's Gamecocks, I was thinking soccer, but Michael's Gamecocks play UGA and men's hoops in Athens at 1 o'clock the same day, and this is coming up on the 3rd of February. Yes. So you've got men's basketball at 1. Same day, Atlanta United plays Memphis in a friendly at 3. So we'll get into that's good timing for those of you up in Athens. We don't quite know what SDH's plans are yet heading in that direction, but Atlanta United has said that the game will be streamed. So much like it was the last time they were up in Athens. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens there with Memphis 901 and Stephen Glass and Atlanta United in Athens. So you've got that going on. Dell, Miles' story, sad for USA Soccer. He's playing it safe for playing time for the USA, and same with Berhalter's recommendations. Rich says, Rich Ransom, I do believe the theory Miles' beef with turf is playing turf after a serious injury. Dell's not a fan of players staying in the U.S. if they can go abroad. And so that's the early thoughts there. Like I said, we'll go through what Miles said. Laurel Pfahler was there, and we'll go through that discussion coming up in just a little bit. Obviously, like I said, we'll talk about Thiago Almada. There's rumors, there's signings domestically, internationally at 10:30. We'll have Prem and Proper, the review, and this is where Maddie and Drew drop in. And maybe we get Drew for more than just a parachute drop today because of the holiday. But we'll see what they have from their perspectives. Maddie obviously gets to talk about Newcastle and what happened with Manchester City. And Drew gets to talk about Manchester United, for starters. So we'll talk about that. It was a half and half this week, half next week. And we'll process it all through at 10:30 with the two of them. And we're gonna have a little fun with them this morning, by the way. We'll have some fun with Maddie and Drew and Prem and Proper, the review. Say that 10 times fast, was a poet, didn't know it. But I don't know if you saw it yesterday, but we are starting to get everything squared away with our high school season. And it will be really interesting to see how things lay out with the high school season. You know, last year, we ended up with a lot of different games as a part of the schedule across the board. And so we're piecing the schedule together this year where we will have more than one game a week on the network. And there might even be times where we have more than one game going on. And we have, we'll have the stuff to talk about with space. You might have to have multiple devices going on, but we'll talk about that as we get closer to the beginning of the high school season. But I guess we can go ahead and say that we have developed and we've come across our first announcement when it comes to our games of the week. And thanks to our friends at Johns Creek, we now have at least our first, good morning, Abby. We now have our first announced game scheduled for the high school season. And thanks to our friends at Johns Creek. Johns Creek and J.L. Mann out of South Carolina. J.L. Mann visiting Johns Creek February 15th. It's a Thursday night here on the network. So that is the first game on the board. I mean, obviously, we're going to have a lot more games on the board, but this is the first one that has been announced. The team went ahead and it's like, yep, J.L. Mann and Johns Creek. We couldn't be happier to have our friends from SDH up there. So Johns Creek hosting J.L. Mann, nationally ranked, and South Carolina powerhouse, obviously, going up against Johns Creek, broadcast on the SDH network. Huge honor to have them doing our game. Very humbling of our friends at Johns Creek to say that. So field setup tryouts are going today, by the way, my friends at Johns Creek. But Jail Man at Johns Creek, February 15th on the SDH network. So that's our first announcement for the high school schedule. We're going to have games mainly on Tuesdays and Fridays. JL Man, for those of you that don't know, 4-time state winner in the state of South Carolina, 99, 010, 012, and 015. 5A state champs in girls, 17, 18, and 19. Johns Creek was the state runner-up in 21 and region champs in 21. And they were 5-2 in region, made the playoffs last year, 17-4-1. So Johns Creek hosting JL Man on February 15th. That begins our high school schedule, at least our announcements of the games in the high school schedule. We know that we're going to have a lot more games. But like I said, that's the first announced game that we're going to be having as a part of the grid. So we've got that this morning. Once again, reminder, we're getting closer and closer to the official release of the Marshall Islands scarf. And for those of you that follow them on Twitter, and please do, SoccerFed MI, and you'll see how the last team, the last country without a national team on the planet is piecing things together. And a new round of shipping of jerseys. If you don't have your jersey, new round shipping, I think, in the next 8 days or so. But here's our scarf that we are partnering with the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation to help, because they want to do some things here in the States in late 2024, and we are hoping that this can help raise funds for that regard and recognition for the Federation, all those kinds of things. So that's the scarf. Should be arriving sometime soon here to Office HD, and then when we come up with a price point, we'll let you know. And obviously, the Fed will post sales for the scarf. We'll do that here as well on the web and obviously through word of mouth, those kinds of things. But that's the scarf to help out our friends at the Marshall Islands as they try and do things here in the States late in 2024. So that's the run right there with our friends from the Marshall Islands. And if you don't have it already, there's the jersey, which is pretty sweet. So that's the jersey for our friends at the Marshall Islands. So that's what you're staring. Yes, we can work on a spreadsheet and a delivery schedule. Yes, when we figure out what's going on with the Marshall Islands and all those kinds of things, definitely do it. But like I said, we got to come up with a price point. They got to let us know about a price point. And then from there, we've got to figure out delivery schedules for the Abstermobile and all those kinds of things. Yes, for when they come in, definitely. When the orders come in, the Abstermobile will definitely be put through its paces to help the domestic delivery here in the Atlanta area. Obviously, our friends at the Marshall Islands are doing stuff worldwide with their business. The current Abstermobile, yes, we know what's going on with the current Abstermobile, and she is shopping for more Abstermobiles or Abstermobile 2.0. So we'll see what's going on there. All right. Opening kickoff. I mean, that was just kind of taking care of business. But opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee. Thank you, Abby, for the better QR code. And that's the QR code for those of you who are watching on Twitch, on the YouTube, and on the 280-character app. That's your QR code for our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. Thanks to everybody who has been kicking off their day with Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. SoccerDownHere15. Use the code. You get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10%, reinvest it into the youth game, youth initiative stuff that they have earmarked. And like I said, this is the QR code that Abby sent me. Compare it to the QR code that I did when I was just shooting it with my phone and the camera off my phone off of the banner. I think it's easy to say that that's a little different. That's a little different. But they, in turn, take 10% reinvested into youth games, youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. All right. Later this week, I'm hoping to track down Jessica Charman. And traditionally, there are reasons to catch up with Jess other than just saying hi. And we get to, have Jess come in and discuss what's going on in her orbits. And there are a few orbits that Jess currently is in. There's the orbit of being a fan. There's the orbit of being a commentator, winning awards up in Charlotte for all the hard work that she does. You want to talk about some of the hardest working folks in show business? Jess, Jason, without question. And the other part that I want to catch up with Jess about is being a fan. And I obviously, the next time that she's on, we'll talk Charlotte FC. We'll talk about For the Crown. Obviously, we'll do that. But when we have things happen like what happened this past weekend with her beloved Reading, it's concerning and it's disappointing, and it's I was going back and forth with Jess with what was going on, and for someone, I mean, think about what it would be like for your club to be in such financial mismanagement and have an owner that really, it's like, yeah, I want out, but you got to come up with a deal, and I'm not going to invest. That's where Reading is right now. Four separate times they've had point deductions. And right now they are fighting for survival again, both in their financial being and then in their being of where they currently are in the standings. And right now they're in League One. And this year they've had 4 points deducted due to regulation breaches. Basically, the owner isn't paying anybody on time. Anybody, players, front office personnel, you name it. They had to the caterer at the stadium, the home stadium, got ditched because he wasn't paying the bills, and they had to release an assistant coach because they didn't have any money. Right now, they're in the relegation zone. Relegation zone for League One after 25 matches, so they're past the halfway point of their season. And they are 3 points from escaping the relegation zone right now. I mean, they're 7-6-12. Under normal circumstances, they'd be in pretty decent shape. At 7-6-12, and they do things that go win, draw, loss in England when they set things up that way. So they would be, at 27. They'd be out of the relegation zone right now. Right now, they're in the relegation zone, and 4 teams get relegated from League One down to League Two. This past weekend, they had a match against Port Vale, and Port Vale is one of 5 teams at 30 points to show you just how crowded things are right now. When the match started, fans started throwing tennis balls, as they should. And it got to the point to where 1,000 fans charged the pitch. It was a pitch invasion and a protest. Play was stopped in the 16th minute of the match. And the Port Vale supporters actually applauded what the Reading supporters were doing. Standing on the field, wanting their owner gone. And this has been something that has been desired for a long time. 16th minute. They stand on the pitch. They want their owner gone. And manager Ruben Sellis, we want to play football matches, but we also understand people's frustrations. They made their point together about what they want. It is their club for life, and they find ways to express their point. From my point of view, I'd prefer to play that game and win that game for them, but I also understand what they did. We've had discussions about this, the fan-led group, Sell Before We Die, DAI. Dai Young is the owner in Reading. Reading's majority shareholder since May of 2017. They want him to sell the club. And they're on the 280 character app, by the way. You can follow them, and I would recommend that you do. The group posted that they shouldn't be doing that. They should be enjoying the game. It was initially held up in the 3rd minute when they started launching the tennis balls. After the pitch invasion, the center ref took the players into the dressing rooms. Supporters remained. Fans chanted slogans against the current ownership. Unveiled a banner in the center circle that said, "Football has an ownership problem." Some of the Reading supporters then, after they made their point, they went back into the stands. I mentioned the Port Vale fans supporting them and applauding them. But then some of them went back in and had a sit-in. EFL spokesperson, every effort was made to restart the game, but it became increasingly obvious that this would not be possible. We will now discuss the implications of this afternoon's events with the clubs. Obviously, it's going to get rescheduled at some point on a midweek. But Ruben Sellis warns that all such talk right now is pure speculation until the EFL have convened a panel to discuss the afternoon's events. Sellis says the EFL just canceled the game. They don't communicate anything right now. No direct conclusion. Last month, fans protested at the Houses of Parliament against this owner, following sanctions imposed by the EFL, including a transfer embargo over an unpaid tax bill. 16 points of deduction since November of 2021, including 4 in August, fourth from the bottom of the table. That's where you are right now with this club. And just when you think you might have heard everything, yesterday, the club accepted offers on 2 players, Tom Holmes and Nelson Abbey. Ruben Sellis said that offers for both defenders had been accepted. Speculation about both of the players obviously ran rampant before the game with Port Vale. The club accepted, and this is quoting the head coach, the club accepted 2 proposals for 2 of our players. One was left out of the starting lineup, having indicated he would prefer not to be picked, but the other chose to play. Promoted Premier League team Luton Town, who were in the same division as Reading last year, strongly linked with the 2 players. But the head coach refused to confirm exactly which clubs were involved, and that Chief Executive Dayong Pang has so far handled the matter. Here's the key. Sellis, the head coach, said he and head of football operations, Mark Bowen, were only consulted when the bids had been accepted. So basically, the chief executive right now is in the process of selling players to this troubled club that is in the relegation zone right now in the 3rd division of the English football pyramid. Chief executive is out selling players and then tells the DFO and the head coach, oh, by the way, we've sold these guys. Quote, I've been informed about the deals, but I was not involved at the very beginning. It is an extraordinary situation, but then my time at Reading has been a big learning for me. Remember, Ruben Sellis was a head coach at one point at Southampton. Could have a second successive relegation after 10 straight years in the championship. Following the relegation to League One, some of the team's most experienced players left. Then you get the EFL charging the club with failing to pay players on time. And the HMRC, and you never want those 4 letters attached to a club. That's the tax man. His Majesty's Revenue and Customs issued the Royals with a winding up petition over unpaid tax bills. That was staved off at like the 11th hour, and I mean like 11:59. Dayong basically said, okay, and then he finally paid. But the last 4 letters you, as a club in the pyramid in England, want to see are HMRC, His Majesty's Royal and Customs. That's the tax man. Tax man is undefeated. Right now, that's where Reading is. Reading continues to be in a pile of ish that is unmatched at the moment, and it's sad. Fans protesting consistently. They've had a movement on social media about Sell Before We Die DAI. And Jess has been on the show in the past. We talked about it. Like I said, I reached out to her with the protest. I want her to come back on to give the update about what's going on with Reading, because it's important. It's important when you are this close to having part of what you've grown up with, and a team that has been around since, I think, 1871 taken away. because of stupidity. Stupidity from an owner and from, frankly, the EFL from kind of sitting on their hands, not taking receivership of it. At least folks might get paid on time. At least the caterer might, actually be there. You might have as many assistant coaches as you need. You might be able to function. But the guy clearly has no interest in this club and owning it and treating it the way that you should. Not even just the bare bones investments. He was close to selling a couple of times and then due diligence. And then he's like, nah, not enough. Pay me more. Those kinds of things. So Reading's a pain in the ass. The Die Young is a pain in the ass for Reading. And so hopefully we can get Jess on the show this week to talk about Charlotte, what's going on up there, what's going on in the colleges as we get ready for high school season, what she's looking forward to that, but specifically Reading as well. Reading's a mess. What else is new? That's officially opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. There's your QR code for those of you watching on YouTube, on Twitch, and on the 280-character app. And don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off your purchase. Then they, in turn, our friends at Kickoff Coffee, take 10% reinvested into youth games, youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. All right. And I know that a lot of you have been getting into the discussion about what's going on with miles and turf and grass and all these kinds of things. Tom, for miles to go, he had to have an offer, at least a decent offer. What PSV offered was less than a third of what he was getting from Cincy. We'll get into the discussion about this. Abby with an important question. Does anyone want to make a team for the soccer fundraiser at Topgolf? Looking forward to that on the 25th. It's 10 days away. And it's on Jason's Facebook. It's on my Facebook. It's on the SDH Facebook. Everything that we share once. And even if you can't get a team together, actually tell you what, Abby, talk to Bart. Bart can't make it, but he was this close to having a foursome. So, Abby, talk to Bart, who won a tournament in Las Vegas over the weekend, by the way, being in net. Talk to Bart and see if the remainder of Bart's foursome and your group want to get together and get a couple of folks there and dive into it. So 10 days away at Topgolf in Northwest Atlanta, and it's a great cause for mini pitches in the Southern Crescent. So keep an eye on that. But, yeah, Abby, talk to Bart and get those two groups combined, and then that way you can sign up for it. Looking forward to seeing people there. Tom wants to know, should the Sleege announcement be today? You would think, yeah, beginning of camp. Considering flying over, having a picture with some champagne, heading this way. So physicals were back on Saturday when the weather was a lot nicer. And strikers and keepers report today. And so we'll see how it is. But I would anticipate, with this being the first day of camp, that you would have your announcement. Because you want everybody in under the tent for day one. Like I said, we'll get into more of that coming up in just a little bit. Emilio, no worries on the typos. I have issues with typing all day long. That is never a problem. Abby, back and forth with Michael. Kind of matter of fact, think he was making excuses, ready to go, wanted a shorter contract. Will. He's been thinking about it, love the moves that Atlanta United's made this offseason, feel like we've been making business less for flash and more for things that simply make sense to upgrade the spine. Will also wants to see a depth move at right back. Yes, maybe one more piece backing up the striker, but happy with the moves. Will, remember you still have Ronald Hernandez at the right, and you've also got Aiden Torres, who is developing through the twos. And so Aiden Torres came in, was not intimidated by his surroundings at all in MLS Next Pro last year. So once again, seeing that growth that's there, I think you're okay at right back. I think you are. Backing up striker, we'll see what that looks like. See if there's anybody coming up, say, in the next 15 days. And we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that. Tom, for miles to go. Yeah, so I clicked on that one already. Let's see. Rich Ransom pitch invasion protests could never happen in the U.S. Correct. Because of all the security that we have, they never could. So that's why you would have them outdoors or outside the facility here in the United States. Hutch wants to know if reading is the past tense of reading. I think it's just read or reddited, something like that. I think you're close. Tom, speaking of turf, I'm just going to hide my face here because this one is so big. I'm going to hide my face. Wait, there we go. Okay, speaking of turf, was having another discussion last night with someone about the grass for the World Cup. Everything I've heard said that FIFA's paying for the grass installation stadiums that need it, but one person in particular insists that that's not true. Also saw a few articles saying it's not true. Somebody's wrong, and I can't figure out who it is. Well, and I think, right now we've got, a couple of years to figure it out. For these one-offs, Mercedes-Benz pays for the import and the export as a part of the overhead for the event. Now, I'm sure that if it's a no or a yes right now, Tom, with everything that we're looking at, it wouldn't surprise me if it ended up being something in the middle. Yeah, we'll help you out. Yeah, we'll help you out a little bit. So we'll see what happens. Abby, unsure, thinks it was up to the stadium to have turf installed to satisfy the requirement of FIFA. I can't see FIFA paying for the turf since they're the ones bringing the tournament. And it might be part of your investment. Then it can't be up to the stadiums. They want to host games. And by the way, it's back in Los Angeles. Apparently, SoFi is back on the list, back on the nice list for 26. So we'll see what happens there. Will, vetting ownership should be done. Disappointing seeing the lifeblood of a town being yanked. See Barry. Take it away. Exactly. Michael, speaking of Reading in League One, did you see? Yeah, I saw Donovan Pines sign with Barnsley. That will be interesting. I would have, I would not have complained had Donovan Pines been a part of the backline signings for Atlanta United. But Donovan Pines going to Barnsley, I think that's an interesting pickup. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens there with that. So we'll see what happens. Michael, convinced that Wrexham, if they are promoted, will sign an American and/or MLS players when promoted. Right now, Wrexham, I think, is in the automatic promotion spots in League Two. Yes, they are second right now in League Two. And they have, let's see, they've got 20 matches to go in the regular season. Right now, they're 2 points out of first. Right now, it is Stockport County, Wrexham, and Mansfield Town. You're 1, 2, and you're 3. But that is you've got the top 4 teams. The top 3 are automatically promoted to League One. The team currently in 4th is only a point out of that automatic promotion. You've got in the 4 through 7, they play 4 plays 7, 5 plays 6. Those winners play, and then that team that survives 4 through 7 goes into League One. But then you start to get, after 5, you start to get the teams that are, kind of separated from the pack of the champions, of the ones that are looking for that automatic promotion. But it is still a mess. Troy Deeney right now is in charge of Forest Green Rovers, and they're having a bit of a problem right now in League Two. But there's a lot of teams and a little space in all of these runs. My Dons from AFC Wimbledon, who lost to Wrexham on the weekend, right now they're in 10th, but they're 3 points out of the playoff. When Wrexham won last year, I was thinking that they could get promoted out of League Two. With the approach that they had, the financials that were there in place, I figured that they could get promoted out of League Two, that they would either win their way in an automatic spot or get through a playoff. I figured they had the personnel to do that. When they go to League One, that's when I think the business has to pick up for Wrexham to another level. And I think that's why they're trying to get the stadium end finished and get more revenue in that way. But League One, I think, will be the challenge for our friends Ryan and Rob. Getting out of League Two, I think they could do that. And right now they're proving that they can. Then you get to League One. That's when I think business picks up for them and the challenges increase that much more to try to get out of League One and get into the championship and then try to figure out what they want to do from there. I think that League One might take them a couple of years. Might be a bit of an interesting call. But I think See, now this would be interesting. Who I feel like Ross all of a sudden. Who do you think they would be going for out of Major League Soccer or American? Who would work at Wrexham? We'll put that on the board. Who would work at Wrexham? That would be interesting. Who do you think would go? That'd be an interesting call. Will, find it hard to get attached to Wrexham. So many other great stories now in non-league, lower league that don't get mentioned because of Ryan Reynolds. Not like they were true underdog last year, largest payroll non-league. Right. And that's what's beautiful about it. The stories, absolutely. Abby, everybody in but without visas may not be able to kick a ball. Michael, heard somewhere that Eric Lopez will be the buyout this year. Let's check and see where folks are when it comes to our friends and their contract situation. So Atlanta United has a squad of 26 and a total market value of 56.3 million euro at present. So, all right, roster. Let's go detail and see who we have under contract. Okay. Well, let's go contract. All right. Players that were drafted in the super draft. You've got the homegrown deals, all the youngins. Okay, 24s. Westberg, Gazan, Dax McCarty in. Jamal Chiade, who is here for another year. Ronald Hernandez is here for another year. Santi Sosa, who has been loaned out. Nothing officially official yet, but we're getting there with Rossing. Aiden McFadden, who was loaned out to Memphis 901. Efren Morales with the twos, who was loaned out. Jay Fortune, Derek Williams, Brooks Lennon. And now you're into the 25s. 25. So the 24s look like you're in pretty decent shape. 25, this is December 31st of 2025. End of next calendar year. Derek Williams, Brooks Lennon, Derek Etienne Jr., Thiago Almada, Mosqueda, Wiley. End of 26, Gigi, Saba, Muyamba, Luis Abram, and Nick Firmino. Eric Lopez is not under contract with Atlanta United, according to our friends at Transfermarkt. What is Atlanta doing for preseason? Thank you, Will, for jumping in on that one. It is Birmingham on the 27th, Memphis 901 and Athens on the 3rd. Then you've got some down in Florida behind closed doors. They're playing Tampa and another couple. 2 in Tampa and then 1 in Miami versus Sporting. And Abby doing the public service. Yeah, Dell, I'm a member of the Don's Trust. It is I have membership in a couple of different trusts and a couple of different sections of the pyramid. Modiflow will tell you about Swan's Trust at Swansea, Portsmouth, and AFC Wimbledon and Scunthorpe United. And I was thinking it was going to be great where I would have membership in a trust in each level of the pyramid in England. Then damn ProRail got in the way. And bad ownership. Just ask me about Scunthorpe United and what's been going on there. At least this year they finally have some stability, look like they might be promoted out of their National League. Rich, Wrexham will do everything to Americanize the team, but sign an American. American soccer fans hate nothing more than an American playing in Europe. How are we looking with international spots? Let's see where we are with international slots. I think we're in decent shape. Let's see. We'll do where we are with international spots right now and see who has what and who has how many as we workshop this morning. All right, Atlanta, and this is somewhat old. Yeah, this is old news. They had 8 at one point, and this is old. Yeah, we got to figure out international slots. Yeah, that's an old one. Let's see, rules and regs. Roster rules and regulations. Next pro guidelines. I think we're okay. I don't have the numbers right in front of me or easily accessible, but I think, Amelia, we're good. Dell, starting lineup graphics somewhere. MLSsoccer.com had their instant analysis, and they had breakdowns of all of the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference rosters as they stand. I would take the information, but I wouldn't take the factual layout of the depth charts, because we looked at the depth chart of Inter Miami as an example and saw major holes. So the information is there with the players, but don't look at the depth charts themselves because of everything else that's in play. So MLSsoccer.com had their stuff. So that's what we're staring at this morning when it comes to international slots. Now, Thiago Almada. We're finally, morning, Alex. Finally getting to Thiago Almada after 40 minutes. Right now, as things stand with Thiago Almada, it appears, and once again, this came out on the weekend, that Atletico Madrid, and we talked about this a little bit late last week, Thiago Almada and Atletico Madrid, it looks like that Thiago Almada and Atletico Madrid, there's some chatter. Very high on the wish list for Atletico Madrid. And so we'll see what it looks like with Thiago Almada. But there was some key movement that had to be done. It was like if Angel Correa at Atletico Madrid was going to the Saudi Pro League, then that would mean that Thiago Almada would be working his way into Atleti. And I know that we were all looking at price tags, say, in the neighborhood of 30 for transfer. But we also discussed late last week the idea of taking less, keeping a percentage of the pass, and that having a benefit for Atlanta United continually throughout the career of Thiago Almada, where if you ended up with, say, 25 and got 15% of the pass, or, some, just to make the math easy, if you did, say your mark is 30 million euro. That's your number. You go 25, you get 15% of the pass or something like that. Or just for the sake of math, if you went 20 and got a third of it, something somewhere, or 20%, somewhere in there. It appears, according to our friends at AS, that this morning you were looking at the possibility, or yesterday, that Atlanta United would go down somewhere in the 22 to 25 million euro range and do Atleti a solid. But that to me means that you would end up with a piece of the pass and not just a straight up transaction. So you've got that with what you're staring at with Thiago Almada currently. So if we were looking at 30, you went to 25, 5 over 30 is 16%. So, 15% of the pass, somewhere in there, 20% of the pass. That's what you were staring at. Doing Atletico Madrid a favor, Thiago Almada has mentioned in interviews in the past that he wants to go to Atleti. That would be like one of his dream locations. Diego Simeone damn well would love to have him. We all know that. So then this morning, you are looking at possibilities, and this is a couple of from Juan Navarro at Fichajes, between 22 and 25. And here's how it was translated by our friends at Fichajes. Last week, various media alluded to the possibility that the Argentine Angel Correa succumbs to the siren song of Saudi Arabia. Although not all the players who immigrated to the Middle East in the summer have managed to adapt to the new environment, the South American seems welcome to the idea of committing to a club that guarantees a more than succulent salary. And so Fichajes, the American entity, could accept his departure in January for a figure of between 22 and 25 million euro, an amount that, depending on the money paid in Korea, could be affordable for fans. Furthermore, the fact that both players share a representative, Agustin Jimenez, could facilitate the operation. So you're looking at 22 to 25. Correa and Almada have the same representation. And that's what you could possibly have going forward. But there is talk this morning, and once again, this is from folks who are looking at, and you're staring at folks who don't have a whole lot of Twitter followers. With Atletico Madrid, they're saying that with other signings that the Almada signing would not happen. But once again, as we always say, this time of year, look at the number of followers on the accounts. Check your followers, check your sourcing, check all of these things. Because if some dude with like 800 followers is saying that, no, it ain't happening, and he's not attributing it to anybody else, that's the beauty of January. We always have to sit there and look at our sourcing. Mundo Deportivo, once again, reinforcing the notion of Thiago Almada to Atletico Madrid. The fact of having similar characteristics has led his agent, Agustin Jimenez, the same one from the Colchonero 10, to offer his agent to represent Atletico. No qualms about publicly admitting that he would like to join the team by Diego Simeone, and they posted the interview from February 13th. That they reposted the interview that he did on Olé. Quick questionnaire when they asked him which team he'd like to play for. Didn't hesitate when he said Atletico Madrid. Angel Correa to Al Ittihad would be the trigger for all of this. Made a $10 million euro offer. Contract through 2026. And that's the latest right now. So you have some dudes who are saying because of signings that Thiago would not happen. They don't have a whole lot of followers. So Correa looking to leave. Almada, same agent looking to come in. So we'll keep an eye on all of that. That's the Thiago Almada saga as we know it right now. And there was discussions about possible, the replacements for Thiago Almada. And the name that kept popping up was Claudio Echeverri. Right now, Echeverri looks like he is going to be signed by Manchester City. There have been discussions with River Plate back and forth about this kind of thing. And then they would loan him back to River Plate. So they would sign him and loan him back. Spend a year on loan at River Plate after sealing the transfer to Manchester City. City are expected to seal the 18-year-old signature this month from the same club they signed Julian Alvarez 2 years ago. City paid £14 million for Alvarez and allowed him to spend 6 months back on loan at River until the beginning of the 22-23 preseason. Manchester Evening News is saying that Echeverri would be taking the same route. Younger than Alvarez. River Plate confirmed the midfielder would remain with them for a year until January 2025. Enzo Francescoli confirmed the transfer will go through. Echeverri will remain at River for 12 months as a part of the arrangement. So that's a good deal for River Plate economically. But Echeverri was the first name that was mentioned as a possible replacement for Thiago Almada if Thiago Almada was to leave. And the biggest issue with that is making sure that if Thiago Almada leaves, that you have the replacement in, you have a full training camp to make it happen, and everybody gets acclimated with one another. Right. Tom, if Almada's going to happen, need to happen soon in order to get that replacement and get the replacement in. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like this is not a transitive kind of a thing. It's not like you wait until your outbound is done before your inbound starts. Oh, no, what do we do? Oh, no, what do we do? We've lost a player. Let's go find a player. So we'll see, but you know that front offices worth their salt have been looking at contingencies for whomever for a long time. A long time. And so, as Will mentions in the Twitch pitch, been knowing that Thiago's wanted to go since the summer. And so, basically, you know that you're only going to have Thiago Almada for a very short period of time. You are continually looking at the landscape, trying to find folks that would fit what you want to do and make sure that that player can be brought in at the same time that you know that you're going to be getting a decent amount coming back so you can invest that into the new player coming in. It's just the way of the world. It is not something that is out, in, out. Oh, no, we've lost somebody. Let's go look. No, you've been looking for quite some time if you're a front office that's worth your salt. But the early discussions about Echeverry from River Plate, Manchester City's been in the driver's seat with that one for a while, and it looks like that one is going to be locked in. But once that does happen, once again, Atlanta United's front office, they're looking in other directions in South America to see about the playmakers. We'll see what happens from there. So that is where we are, Thiago Almada. The number could go down to 22 to 25, doing Atletico Madrid a solid. It's like, yeah, bro, we got your back. You're doing well by the player. You're doing well by the club. Your reputation increases and it expands internationally. Yeah, we dealt with Atlanta United before. They were cool. So that word gets into La Liga. And for an MLS player to go into La Liga, it's big. This is big. Should this go down, Correa leaves, Almada comes in, that's big. For an MLS player in general to go play in La Liga is big. But for an Atlanta United player possibly to go to Atletico Madrid, I mean, we all thought when Miguel Almiron was purchased by Newcastle that was a big deal. It is. Still is. But now, being in the same discussions, in the same room, sitting at the same table with Atletico Madrid, that's not a bad environment to be in either. So Atlanta United continues to make these inroads. Front office continues to make these transactions and have folks that they can bring in and improve and be seen on the world landscape and possibly move on to La Liga. I mean, MLS to La Liga, great. Now, not on a loan like Carlos Vela and Real Sociedad. We'll get into him in a second. But the idea of an Atlanta United player going to Atletico Madrid, the possibility, the discussion, the fact that it is even a discussion is huge for Atlanta United. Like I said, we thought that Miguel Almiron to Newcastle was big. Having a player possibly, probably, maybe, perhaps, going to Atletico Madrid if everything falls into place. Like I said, Correa has to go to the Saudi Pro League first. Then that makes the opening, and Atleti's interested, Thiago's interested. So, but just the fact that you're having these conversations shows you what the front office of Atlanta United is able to do when it comes to their personnel and see the future of individuals and move them on. I do not anticipate, unless somebody just comes and opens their wallet and dumps it out right there on it goes to Scrooge McDuck in in a conference room. I don't anticipate it being the largest transfer in the history of Major League Soccer with the money up front. But the value of it for Atlanta United down the line, if it's at 22 to 25 and keeping a percentage of the pass, and then Thiago Almada, if you got 15% of the pass and he goes from Atletico Madrid to whomever, and it's a massive transfer, you're still getting coin. That's big. So that's where we are with Atlanta United. Who currently are the DPs? The Atlanta United DPs. Hang on just a second, Abby. Let me see if I could spell the word players, and I could come up with your answer. It is, the GG is one. And right now, Saba is a DP, but he can be bought down. And Thiago is a DP. So those are your DPs. So it's Thiago, Gigi, and Saba. But Saba can be bought down. And frankly, Gigi's base is 1.7. Gigi's base is $400,000 less than Saba at 2.1. And Almada's at a 2.3. Guaranteed compensation for 2023. Guaranteed compensation for 2023 was 2.3 for Almada, 2.1 for Saba, 1.7 for Gigi. So those are your DPs at the moment. Miles, I know that we wanted to, Almada, Gigi, and Saba. So Miles Robinson, and I know that we wanted to get into what Laurel Failer got to see with Miles Robinson. I know that we wanted to talk about that. 10:30, once again, bottom of the hour. It's Prem and Proper, the review with Drew and Maddie. And they will go over their stuff. All right, so Miles is excited for more growth with FC Cincinnati. This is from Laurel. Not concerned about getting a late start with the rest of the club because he's training at a high level with the national team, and in the end, that should make him better prepared for the season. FCC players scheduled to report yesterday, training to begin on Tuesday. U.S. camp began Monday, runs through this coming Tuesday in Orlando before they head to San Antonio for the game against Slovenia January 20. So Friday, here's what Miles said. Definitely great to formally meet some of my new teammates, so at least I'm more familiar with some faces come preseason. They're obviously great guys. It's great to get dinner with them, just kind of understand who they are as people, stuff like that. Very important that you build those types of connections and bonds to make us stronger on the field. Robinson, one of the top MLS free agents this offseason after his contract with Atlanta expired, certainly a welcome addition. Not only the most capped player on a young USMNT camp roster this month, voted by his peers as the best 1v1 defender in the league, according to a poll by the MLSPA. Then the discussions with Ian Murphy, who was also a part of Q&A, fellow defender. I don't think I've seen him get dribbled once. Don't think he let anything past him so far since he's been here. Roman Celentano says he looks like the real deal, the complete package. Everything been hyped from seeing it with my own eyes. I can vouch, really excited for him to be a part of the back line. Robinson had other options as a free agent, both in the league and abroad. However, after reviewing all his choices, he felt like Cincinnati had the most to offer him professionally and personally. Gave him a more personal tour and a recruiting visit first day of free agency, December 13. That was enough to sell him on the Queen City. Agreed to terms right before Christmas, signing a one-year deal with a club option for 2025. Announced January 3rd. Of the visit. Initially, they had one of their planes come get me. I met with some of the owners. Then I met with Chris Albright and with my agents. We were flying all there together, but I think just the energy that I got, it seemed like from the top to the bottom, everyone was kind of like in line and on the same page, and they seemed very, not only excited to have me, but, eager to, get me better as a player and as a person, and I think everyone seemed like they were kind of on the same page, just the way they treated me. I mean, I felt the love for sure. I mean, I definitely felt. Definitely the fact that I was a free agent, there were other options available. So I had to definitely do my due diligence with every other club, whether it be domestic or abroad. But after everything, I decided to choose Cincinnati based on so many different factors. But on the field, off the field, I think this is going to be a great situation for me. Definitely excited to perform. Not everyone agreed with Robinson's decision. Jesse Marsh said it was a bit of a shame that Miles stayed in Major League Soccer because, quote, a player like him has to be in Europe, has to be testing himself, has to be pushing to be the best that he can be. Robinson was made aware of Marsh's comments through family members that saw it on social media and caught him up to speed, but he said he didn't care about the outside noise. He hasn't second-guessed his decision either. Everyone has the right of their own opinion, so I don't really care what they think of my own life. It's my life, it's my decision, and I'm super happy and excited for my decision. So that's kind of like up to them to debate on my life. But just to be in this situation, whether people are debating my decision, seems like a cool position to be in general. But yeah, I wasn't really too tuned in, because in reality, I didn't care too much because I was more eager and excited to get to work with this new team that I've heard great things about, the new coach, all that kind of energy. New energy I'm definitely excited for. But yeah, like I said, I think this is the best decision for me personally on and off the field. So I'm definitely excited to put my best foot forward. He talks about TQL. The atmosphere at TQL, and here's the grass quote, by the way. The atmosphere at TQL Stadium, it's definitely loud. It's energized. It seems like it's full of, smart, intelligent soccer fans that are passionate. Some people want to compare it to atmospheres in Europe, which I appreciate. Obviously, the grass, obviously the great training ground. But it just felt like everyone from the top to the bottom, like I said, is kind of on the same page, has the same goals, same aspirations. And I think when that happens, I personally think I'll only play at my best. And that's kind of one of the goals for me, is to have the best season of my career this year. So I truly think that this new environment could bring that out. And yeah, I'm excited. Chance to work on the leadership skills at camp. 17 uncapped players at Camp Cupcake, according to Bart. Still has some things to prove as he seeks to further solidify the role at that first season at FCC. I think just the fact that I have this whole preseason to really get me ready, and ready for the regular season, is important. Yeah, last season I didn't have a true preseason. I was still rehabbing, so I kind of just got thrown into that first game of the season, whereas this year I have a full preseason to get fit, to get ready, and I'm feeling great so far. So that's where Miles is. That was the Miles press conference from the Zoomapalooza that they were having, dealing with Miles. Tom, about contingencies. Definitely have contingencies in place, but later in the window, the harder it is to make them happen. Although there's another side of this which says the summer window is better to sign someone since European leagues are off. If Almada went now, we'd have to try to make do and stay in the race somewhat until summer when prospects are better. Oh, Michael. Oh, cool. Thank you, Michael. Michael was keeping an eye on Office HD, and he made sure. All right, sidebar. I got to call a sidebar here. All right. When you go on vacation, how many of you, and I mean, this is like, we were gone from Office HD for a week. How many of you have conversations with the folks that deliver the mail on a daily basis at varying times? And you tell them, look, I need you to hold my mail. You sit there, you're gone for a week. How many of you tell the Postal Service to hold it? How many of you have friends come by and get it every day or every 2 days and sit there and hang on to everything, and so you're in good shape? We decided to tell the post office to hold our mail for a week. Send an email and the whole thing. And we thought that, hey, they're saving our mail, and we're going to get a big bin of it tomorrow. We get home yesterday, and literally our post office, our mailbox, is locked shut by a rubber band. There's a rubber band that's wrapped around the pull handle and the flag off to the side to keep it shut. Apparently, sending an email to the post office and them acknowledging the fact that they were supposed to hold our mail doesn't mean they're going to hold your mail. I got in yesterday, and I'm checking just on a lark to see if something was dropped by, and and God bless you, Michael Head, for coming by and keeping our packages from getting wet and rained on. But I go to our mailbox, and it is jammed with mail, and I don't know how many days worth of mail it is. But we went back, the boss and I, and we looked at the mail that we sent, the email that we sent to the post office saying, hey, hold our mail. We recognize that you wish to have your mail held between date 1 and date 2. They didn't do it. So I don't know how much mail we didn't get. I don't know how much mail we got. Michael Head doing yeoman's work, a five iron away from here, coming by and picking up packages so they wouldn't get weather torn. But I didn't know if you guys were the same and had alleged arrangements with the Postal Service and have them sit there and turn around and sit there and go, we got the email, we know, and then they deliver mail anyway. Like I said, I just wanted to know. I just wanted to know. Michael Head, the Decatur PO does not care. It's horrible service. And Alex, did I sign up for informed delivery with USPS? I don't know what the boss signed up for, Michael. But, like I said, I don't know what the date was, but the boss, it's like, okay, 6 through 16 or whatever it was. These dates, we're not here. Don't deliver mail. And sure enough, they delivered mail. Yeah, see, and Emilio says that we put an end date a few days after the return date to make sure. And Hutch has a point. My next door neighbors compensate me with fresh shrimp for collecting their mail while they're gone. See, Michael left without me, and Michael brought it by, and I was going to ask him. And so, Michael, now that you're back, do you want an autographed copy of Book 6? Do you want an American City scarf? What do you want for a grand thank you for keeping an eye on stuff that was on our front stoop? Let me know. So like I said, I got copies of Book 6. I can sign one over for you and you can read it. And it's a personalized copy. That I can do. We got the we got Atlanta's American Soccer City scarves. We got those. Let me know what you're missing. So I can give you one of those as a thank you, for a high and hearty thank you for helping out. Prem and Proper, the review coming up in about 15 minutes. Gossip, rumor, innuendo, who's signed, who's done what? All right. Did you see this rumor? Alex, public service. Sign up for informed delivery. Oh, that's cool. I can do that. Did you see this one? Where apparently, possibly, probably, it could be that Carlos Vela could be going across town. He could be going to the LA Galaxy. Because this wouldn't be fun. Carlos Vela across town. There are folks that are, that do like the newsletters and things, and you saw this yesterday, and I'm like, really? Seriously? Oh, and once again, Carlos Vela. No, sorry, Pity Martinez suffered a knee injury yesterday, so obviously Thinking about that, man. But yeah, Carlos Vela to LA Galaxy. Sure, why not? Let it happen. Why the hell not? That would be awesome. I don't know if how much credence there is. Thank you, Alex. Once again, doing the Lord's work. But Carlos Vela to the LA Galaxy. Christian Moraes, Brazilian journalist who works for Territorio MLS. And they've got, like 5,000 followers. So once again, keep this information as you would. But Christian Moraes yesterday on his account, referencing Thiago Brandao, once again from Territorio MLS. Here's how Thiago Brandao referenced it. Exclusive madness in LA. And then he follows it with a Mexican national flag and a bomb. So a bomba, a Mexican bomba. Carlos Vela has deep interest from the Los Angeles Galaxy and has visited with the club. The information is, and once again, this is Google translated, that the Galaxy would be willing to offer a higher sum for the player's salary, something that LAFC is not willing to do. The Mexican player is receiving inquiries from various teams after his contract with LAFC ended and has also been linked to NYCFC and his former club, Real Sociedad in Spain. Moraes, following up, Galaxy have already made 2 offers. First was for the same amount as LAFC, and the second, sent in the last few days, is what Carlos Vela wants. People involved in the negotiations have told me Vela sees no problem in playing for the Galaxy as he loves the city of Los Angeles. What about NYCFC? Vela's been offered to NYCFC, but the club is not willing to pay what he wants and is currently far away in negotiations. The offer on the table is real. Now it's up to him. Vela at Galaxy is real. Once again, that's from Territorio MLS. And Christian Moraes and a couple of other places. To imagine the chaos in that city if Carlos Vela was to go across town. Carlos Vela, are you blanking kidding me going across town? Rich, if Vela moves to the Galaxy, MLS and Apple will shove El Tráfico and Rose Bowl games down our throats even more than normal. Not wrong. They'll be on TUDN. Whoever the secondary broadcasters will be in these cases. Apple will sit there and it'll be like Messi and then El Tráfico. Messi and El Tráfico in that order on the website. And it will be that chaotic. It'll be fun, but it'll be that chaotic. Because anytime, any chance that folks get to sit there and wear the opponent's, literally wear the in-town opponent jersey. This isn't like, this is not like Joe Namath and the Rams or Johnny Unitas and the Chargers or any like Dale Murphy and the Rockies or the Phillies or anything like that. But could you, just for the sheer chaos factor, let it happen. Let it happen, man. Sure, why the hell not? At this point, why the hell not? If LAG wants to pay the man, pay the man. I love Los Angeles. I'll play with the Galaxy. As the Galaxy, apparently they have a war chest of about $25 million. College football, by the way, Jalen Milroe has entered the portal at Alabama. Since Will Rogers was coming from Mississippi State to Washington and has now followed Caleb DeBoer to Tuscaloosa, Jalen Milroe has now entered the portal. How about that fourth quarterback, UGA? And so we've got all that stuff. Let's see, Hutch, and we're talking about stealing things off of front stoops now. Michael, thank you. Hutch, Vela's like a candle in the wind right now. Yeah, and that's true. I mean, he ain't the same dude, and he ain't gonna play no defense. But yeah, Carlos Vela, he'll be locked in. Rich, if Vela does go to NYC, Red Bull will magically have direct deposit from Apple in their account to go after a superstar for the Derby. That would not surprise me. But the thing is that Red Bull. So then, what 6'4" midfielder, 6 or defender or center back would you need? Would you immediately transfer Walker Zimmerman to Red Bull? Because Red Bulls aren't going to do anything offensively. I mean, Sandro Schwartz, I don't think that they're going to sit there and do anything different offensively when it comes to all of this. I don't see it. I mean, it'd be fun. Don't get me wrong. It's like magically, all of a sudden, you just see a little more AM show up if you're Red Bull. Then Alex, yes. Carlos Vela becomes Carlos Heel. You see what I did there? Yes, I did, Alex. Very nice. This is where we are on holiday Mondays. Will, Dax gives us a heel character to grow spine. I'm ready for Larry Body Slams 2.0. That'd be epic. Dax comes in with 30 to go. He's just ready to stand up and take anybody out. I'm looking forward to it. It's first day of camp. This is going to be fun. Maddie and Drew coming up when both Maddie and Drew show up. Maddie is working furiously behind the scenes. She's doing a whole bunch of things. And so, yeah, when Drew shows up, we'll do Prem and Proper. All right. So gossip, rumor, and innuendo, things left unsaid as we kind of work our way all around here in the morning. We got Asia Cup. We've got AFCON. AFCON got a little crazy yesterday. I know that's a shock. You had some upsets. Your Monday gossip. Jordan Henderson has been linked with Ajax and Juve, set to stay in Saudi Arabia for the rest of the season because Al Ettifaq, in the league that we neither condone nor endorse nor discuss to any great detail, they're cool with him. It's like, nah, he ain't leaving. He's fine. That's from the 4-letter paper, by the way, so take the information at your own peril. Ajax coach Jan van Schip says there's serious talk going on with Henderson about him moving to the Netherlands. That's from the 4-letter, meaning the 4-letter network, not the 4-letter paper. Manchester United, Newcastle, AC Milan are ready to take West Ham's move away from them for Stuttgart's Serhou Guirassy, the striker. Liverpool, Real Madrid, PSG interested in Lille's 18-year-old France under-21 defender Lenny Yoro. Brighton have completed. Now, this signing was big. This was a fantastic get for Roberto De Zerbi. Brighton completed the signing of Argentine U20 fullback Valentin Barco from Boca Juniors for around £8 million. That's huge. Manchester United forward Anthony Martial ready to reject interest from Saudi Arabia because he'd prefer to stay in Europe. West Ham, Inter Milan, Fenerbahce linked with the 28-year-old. Manchester United midfielder Hannibal Mabry, I believe that loan deal has been signed with Sevilla. £17.5 million option to buy, 4-letter paper. Arsenal and Chelsea are scouting Sporting Lisbon's defender Ousmane Diomande at AFCON. Karim Benzema's future at Al Ittihad. Remember, we talked about him in LAFC last week. Uncertain, his future. After he missed training and was subsequently excluded from the club's winter training camp in Dubai. That's according to Marca. And they claim that there might be some angst there with those two. Spurs, Arsenal, Fulham, ready to rival West Ham. Everybody's rivaling West Ham. In a summer move for Feyenoord's forward Santiago Jimenez, Everton, and Nottingham Forest. And this is big. And we'll probably get into it more once Prem and Proper is done for the day. Everton and Nottingham Forest expect to be told today, this is from Ornstein, so you know that it's big, that they have breached the Premier League's profit and sustainability rules for the 3-year cycle up to June of 2023. So Everton and Forest. They're going to get some highfalutin lawyers. There will be billable hours, and they're going to challenge that when it comes to the rules of engagement about what you can lose. Liverpool willing to sell a backup keeper, Shaman Kelleher, for £20 million this summer, and have identified Sunderland 23-year-old former England U21 international Anthony Patterson as his replacement. Napoli interested in Chelsea's defender Trevor Chalobah. Sheffield United interested in Bournemouth's defender Chris Mepham. Bournemouth's midfielder Joe Rothwell set to have a medical at Southampton before completing a loan move before the end of the year. Southampton also targeting a winger on loan this month. Manchester United 21-year-old Ivory Coast international Amad Diallo, and Bournemouth's David Brooks on their short list. That is the short round of gossip, rumor, and innuendo. Now, what to watch and where to watch it. If I could type and let you know where things are. Soccer on TV today. Once again, we got AFCON, we got stuff. And I've got to log into my membership again. What is this? I'm going to sign in with a password. There's my password, so sign me in. It's not hard. Login successful. Of course it was, because it was my password, people. AFCON, 9 noon and 3. So Senegal and Gambia is going on right now. Being in Espanol, that's your simulcast. And you can pick up BN and AFCON at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. Helps out the network, helps out them at Fanatis as well. Jason got me hooked. I blame him. It is BN, it is AFCON, it is CDO for the fans, Gold TV, Liga One Max, Tay-Say, all these networks, Nuestra Tele, it's all there. So you can watch true degenerate nations like the Serie Rio de la Plata's on Gold TV tonight, 6 and 8:15. On the Plus, English League One, Derby County and Burton Albion's at 3. South Korea and Bahrain was on Golasso Network this morning, so we missed that one. Indonesia and Iraq is going on right now in the Asian Cup on Paramount Plus. Malaysia, Jordan at 12:30. Syria at Atlanta and Frosinone at 2:45. That is also on Paramount Plus. Rich, what are you sending me? Jan van Schip, I believe is what I said, Ropes. Jan van Schip. Don't you say that I was saying things. Brendan Craig. Jose Roberto Nunez. I saw this. Brendan Craig, currently on trial at Everton, the 19-year-old. He is a trial with the potential of a permanent move, and they're going to need those kind of individuals that might not necessarily be the most expensive on the board. So we'll keep an eye on all of that. It's 28 after. Tell you what. Okay. Oh, that's right. We got to do all of the MLS-y stuff too. And so, Maddie doing the Lord's work when it comes to production. She's sending me things that I need to talk about because, I need to talk about them. Otherwise she wouldn't send them. The rundown of folks and stuff in the news. Actually, tell you what, I'll save the news for later since Drew is here and it is that time for Prem and Proper, the review. And we're going to do things a little differently today as I bring both Maddie and Drew in for a Monday. What I have decided to start the show with, and we always believe in chivalry, so it's going to be ladies first, is we're going to do a little Sadie Hawkins here. So that means that y'all have questions about each other's teams and you give them to each other, and then we'll talk about the rest of the league. So the way this works to start things off on a Monday is that Maddie will have a question for Drew about Manchester United, and then Drew in turn will have a question about Newcastle for Maddie. So we'll start things off that way since it was a half and half weekend, 5 matches and then 5 matches coming up soon. So Maddie, in the interest of chivalry, see, now Drew's getting ready. Drew's like he's getting the shoulders ready. He's bowing up a little bit. He's trying to get all squared away and perfect posture and everything. So Maddie, with a question for Drew about his beloved Manchester United. Maddie, please go.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, hey everybody. So sorry I missed Prem and Proper on Friday. Was doing a whole bunch of things with KSU, which was fun. Working hard, working 9 to 5. But anyway, I think just with the way the Man United game played out, obviously you guys had the lead twice. and yet they were able to come back and do that. I guess my question for you is, what adjustments on Man United, what adjustments on defense need to be made going into these future games? Like how do you think they should adapt to getting better at that defensive end down there?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, because it's been the second goal that was scored at the beginning of the second half by Betancourt has been the Achilles heel for United all season long. They're called cutback goals, to where there is a free roaming midfielder from the opposing team all alone inside the 18. And we saw it yesterday with Betancourt again. And I'm going to, something that I don't really like to do, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to go with there's been a lot of injuries, and we saw in the second half yesterday, Lisandro Martinez enter the game. He's been out since September. He is 100% healthy, and if you watched his little cameo, there was enough for me to see that the difference maker is back. Casemiro on the bench, who is going to – one thing about the midfield, I love Eriksen, but he is a huge liability off the ball, just like Scott McTominay. And we saw Eriksen was the man marking Betancourt, who allowed him to just roam free into that midfield, or into the 18-yard box all alone. I think the appearance and the comeback of the healthy Casemiro, who I think will be in that midfield with Mainu and Bruno come the next game, and Lisandro Martinez and Varane getting that camaraderie back together. And remember, Luke Shaw's still injured, and you've got Dalot and you got Wan-Bissaka flip-flopping that left side and that right side. It's very difficult to have that camaraderie when you're not playing your same position. Look at Rashford, for example. He's back on his number one position on the left side. He's assisting and scoring goals. But United still hate him and still want to slit his throat, which is very weird to me. They're a very, very fickle fan base. So to answer your question, I think the writing is on the wall. With Casemiro coming back, it's going to help anchor that defensive unit in the midfield a little bit more. And I think we can all agree that Kobbie Mainoo is the best player for Manchester United right now. And he's only 18 years old.
Beautiful part. So now, once again, in return, since the question has been asked one way, we go back the other way. And so now it is time for, and this will obviously be a follow-up conversation that we will have after this particular answer is given by Maddie about this particular match that happened on the weekend. Drew, your question for Maddie about how her beloved Newcastle and what happened this weekend.
What a game, I'm not too sure anybody in their respective Premier League world was expecting what happened to happen. It was very exciting, very fun to see. But we both know, just like United, Newcastle have been complete Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You have no idea what the next week is going to bring with both of these clubs. So my main question and my main concern coming out, at least of the last 2 months, and I think we've talked about it before, and I want to know where you're coming from and what you think, is Eddie Howe going to be at the helm of Newcastle United come August of 2024?
Ooh, that's a good question. I didn't know what I was expecting either. I was just like, I didn't know what question I'd be asked. Ooh, I go back and forth on it a little bit, at least especially in the last couple of weeks I have, because I feel like he's doing things right, but there are also moments where I'm like, I don't know. I don't think he's a bad coach. I think, and I don't like doing it either, but it literally is the topic of conversation every time we talk about Newcastle. The injury plague that we have been given this season, it's hard. You see in the back line, we had maybe 3 17-year-olds on the bench. Like that shows you how far we're reaching to get players because we're so backed up on injuries.
Yep.
And so I think Eddie Howe is doing the best he can with what he has. But with that being said, you have injuries, but you still have a lot of talent on that bench and on the field. And so to me, it's like, what isn't clicking and what's not happening? For me, that's the defense. I think we have a great striking thing up front with Isaac, Almiron, and everyone up there. Our defense has been struggling in these last couple games. I mean, especially in the Man City game. I mean, I was watching the highlights again this morning because I just needed a refresher. And I was sitting there, I was like, why aren't we defending the ball? Why are we just letting them score? Like, it always seems so frantic. Like, we have said things put together, but then as soon as that ball gets in the box, it's like no one knows what to do. It's like frantic. Everyone's trying to get it. So, I mean, to answer your question, I don't think Eddie Howe's a bad coach. I think we'll see him again. I think he will still be the head coach at the end. But again, that just goes on to say how these next couple of games go. Like, what's going to happen and how is he going to adapt to these changes and what needs to be done.
The level of patience with Amanda Stabley. Go ahead, Drew.
I just wonder, Madison, I wonder how much patience the Saudis are going to have. I mean, one thing that I can see, one thing that I can possibly agree with is if he does stay, he's been granted a leash. He's got a little extra long leash because of the Champions League qualification. You lost in the final of a tournament last season. If he can keep them in Europe, top 5, I'd argue he gets another 12 months. That's just my opinion. I think you're right. I think he's deserved a little bit extra time due to that injury plague. I agree with you.
I would agree with you. I think if we get below that like number 5 mark, I think questions are definitely going to arise and be like, okay, do we what's the next step here? Because especially with how we finished last season too, exactly. It's the expectation. I think we're just going to have to see how these rest of these games go, because depending on how well we play in these next couple of games will really be the difference maker in how we stand in the rankings and also where everything else is going to fall.
It's crazy how similar United and Newcastle situations
literally
right now from the last 18 months. You could literally look at both teams and say, my gosh, what has happened in the last 8 months?
Mm-hmm. You look at the match, and we got the return, but more of a return, not the return, but more of a return of Kevin De Bruyne.
Oh, he's a phenomenal.
And the thing is that Kevin De Bruyne looks like he ate Kevin De Bruyne. I mean, dude he looks like a Russian. He looks like Aiden Hutchinson out at the 9, and like he's going to go chase after somebody. But I look, I know, and I kid. I know that this is because he's got to get back into playing shape, and he'll drop, 15, 20 pounds, and he'll be back to being the svelte Kevin De Bruyne that we're used to seeing. But to see Kevin De Bruyne go out there and have a goal and an assist where he's just still trying to get back into game shape and game state and figure out what's going on. Like I was mentioning in the Twitch pitch, I see it, and Tom Russo says that he might be the best player in the world. Ridiculous. And then I said, yeah, and he's double XL Kevin De Bruyne. Right? I mean, it's just insane what a guy, Maddie, what a guy like Kevin De Bruyne can do, even when he's not 100%.
Oh, yeah. When he came into the match at the 69th minute, I was like, I was like, okay. I was like, we're losing. Especially after that goal. When he scored that goal, I was like, okay, well, I was like, it's over. I was like, it's done. I would be happy with a tie. It's just, I could. We're not here to listen. It's fine.
Yeah, we are. But, you look at Manchester City, who's not losing a lot of folks, Drew, from AFCON and Asian Cup. Wolves lose Chan because he's at Asian Cup. Spurs don't have Heung-min Son because he's at Asian Cup. AFCON and Mo Salah as an example. Manchester City is staying about as tight a roster as you get. Yeah. They don't have folks that are leaving to go to tournaments in Africa and Asia right now. This could be that time where you get to see them make that jump. As we sit there, they're going to make a jump to the top, like it's something that, something completely, totally unexpected. But because of the folks that they've got and they don't lose, they should be more well off. Let's speak English goodly on a Monday. They should be better off on in the January elements because of not losing folks.
Well, absolutely. And one thing that is kind of exciting about the KDB comeback factor is that it's like a new signing. They played all season without him, and they remained in the top 4 race, which is, nothing new for a Pep Guardiola team. But Pep is a mastermind. The way that he manipulated that game yesterday by putting KDB in, it's a ballsy move, man. It really is, because like you said, he's still trying to find himself. And Newcastle being the team that, whether or not Newcastle's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, when they're on, they're very hard to beat. And, talking back to, bringing back to the point of, KDB being like a new signing, we also have to remember that City's been without Haaland for almost 2 months, who's due to return in a couple of weeks. So that's going to be like 2 new signings for them within a month span. And let's see, we've got the best midfielder in the world coming back healthy and the best goal scorer in the world coming back healthy.
It's gonna be you're gonna have Haaland and then KDB. They're gonna be unstoppable. Like, I mean, literally, they're gonna be unstoppable. And we're all just gonna be here being like, well, you know.
Pep is just licking his chops. He just can't wait for this to show, like, we still got it. And we don't even know what moves they're going to make this month for the transfer window. Same with Newcastle. That was going to be my next question for you, but I stuck with Eddie Howe. But it's one of my most favorite times of the season, because we don't know what the teams are going to be come February because of the transfer window. It's just very exciting.
I love it. I'm excited to see what happens.
How many Maddie, what are you anticipating moves wise with Newcastle? I mean, you get healthy, it's like signing new folks, but you could have your own unhealthy starting 11 and your healthy starting 11. So, I mean, do you make any moves in the outside, or you just kind of sit there and hang on to the tent pole like Al Roker in the Hurricane, like you're waiting to make sure that that the Hurricane's over? What do you do if you're Newcastle?
I feel like if we're smart, we would try to look for someone, especially just trying to fill in those areas where we've lost people. I'm trying to remember. We have so many injuries. I don't even know. Every single place get a No, I really don't. I don't know, because I don't, at least from my area, I don't think I've seen many rumors.
Yeah, no, you've been kind of and because of FFP, which could be chasing after Everton again and Forest, because like when you bring in 43 players, you might be losing money if you're Evangelinos Marinakis. David Ornstein reporting today that they might be getting the tap on the shoulder on the dance floor. That hey, dude, you might be answering some questions. Did you, Drew, see the end of Burton and Luton Town?
I did not. Maddie did.
Well, if we didn't bring it up, I was going to be like, listen. What? How? Okay. I watched it, and then I watched it again this morning because I had to make sure it was real. I was shocked that goal stood. Shocked. Because I mean, it's clearly he is like going up. He's not going for the ball. He's moving around. I mean, and he hits the goalkeeper, and then the ball goes in. I don't know why it wasn't reviewed, why it did not get taken back. I was very shocked. I was shocked.
All right. So basically, Drew, what happened was this. 1-0 lead for Burnley, and you're at 90+3. Corner comes in, and you have contact. The Burnley keeper is going for the challenge, and it legitimately looks like it's something akin to a hip check that almost acts like a pick. So and the keeper can't quite get to the ball and ends up being a free header, and it's a 1-1 draw. Ball goes into the back of the net. 1-1 draw. Luton escapes Turf Moor with a point. But yeah, so Maddie, can you dial it up real quick and walk through it? Do you have it? Do you have it handy?
I can pull it up right now.
Yeah, so go ahead and walk Drew through it, but be as neutral as possible here when it comes to the situation. So we're gonna have our own SDH VAR today. We're gonna do VAR, and we'll walk Drew through the play and see what Drew thinks, knowing that there was not a call on the box out hip check-ish maneuver, by Luton that resulted in the header that tied the game and got a point for each. So, Maddie, let me know when you've got it. So, as you sit there and okay, so go ahead. Oh, she had it and didn't have it, but basically,
hold on, I'm watching.
Okay, so all right, so Drew is watching, Maddie is watching, and so as you see it at 90+3, Drew, what do you think about that no call?
My gosh, hold on. I'm gonna watch it one more time. I just
Walk,
rewound it.
so walk through it. Walk through it while you're watching because it doesn't make.
All right. So the ball comes in. Here's a better view, slow motion view. The keeper comes off his box. So was it 1-1 or was it 1-0? And that was the game tie. That was a tying goal.
It was 1-0, and that was the game tying goal.
Yeah, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like he did put a pick on the goalkeeper. Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of the Onana Wolves goal from week 1. When Onana came out and crashed, they reviewed it, still called it a goal. Yeah, he definitely set a pick for the goalkeeper. They didn't, the VAR called it obviously a goal. And that's just it. You know, I was talking to my dad a couple of days ago about VAR, and he asked, what's the issue? I said, I love VAR. I think it's great. But why can't we put former players, people who know the game, anybody can just take a test and go get a job. This is like causing people's jobs and lives to be altered because of situations like this. But man, that's crazy. What great drama the Premier League brings you week in and week out.
Yep. So, all right. So Maddie, I go like this.
Mm-hmm.
You go to the monitor.
Yep.
You say foul, no goal, right?
That's what I would say. I would say be no goal just because if I'm looking at it, if it would be a different scenario if he was trying to get the ball. To me, it looks like he is deliberately pushing the keeper out of the way or hip checking him in that way. Maybe it wasn't voluntary or not, but I mean, he nudged him, got to the floor, and then they got the goal.
Yeah, you're 100% right.
I would take it back.
The offensive player knew what he was doing. He hip checked the goalkeeper. He set a pick for him. Yeah, that's Yeah, it's very inconsistent. That's for sure.
Well, and then for those that may not know, there is a new owner at Burnley. I don't know if you've heard of this gentleman. He's a gentleman by the name of J.J. Watt.
Oh, yeah.
And J.J. Watt, after the game, went absolutely ballistic to the point to where he posted video and was trying to figure out what in the wide world of sports was going on. On January 12th, he posts this. I'm new to this ownership thing, so if I get fined by the Premier League, so be it. This is as blatant and obvious of a foul as you could have. To miss this on the field and miss this on VAR is truly disgraceful. And as a result, his account got locked by the 280 character app overlords. His account was locked because they received a compliant Digital Millennial Copyright Act notice for content posted. What? Under the GMCA, copyright owners can notify the 280 character app claiming that a user infringed their copyrighted works. So he got busted by whomever he pulled the video from.
Wow.
About posting the video and the VAR, and he had to go and revisit the copyright policy on the 280 character app before he could get his account unlocked. Welcome to being an owner in the Premier League.
Oh my gosh. That is awesome.
Hilarious. That is so funny. But to his point too, it's one thing to get it wrong, like as soon as it happens. It's one thing. But to go back and watch it in VAR and for as long as they did and still call it a goal, but listen, I'm not a ref. I don't know.
See, to your point, Maddie, you're right. Because when you watch, for example, the Marcus Rashford red card in the Champions League for stepping on the foot of the defender, when you watch these gruesome fouls in slow-mo, it makes them gruesome in all caps. So to your point, to watch that in video instant replay, to slow it down and to not see the player making that pick on the goalkeeper in with the advantage of slow motion, it's very strange. It's almost baffling because of the inconsistency. Just makes you because you never know what you're going to get week in and week out with these officials. It's frustrating for sure. And a lot of these officials, John, Maddie, they have secret love for a lot of these clubs. Like you'll have Anthony Taylor being the center official for the United Arsenal game. Meanwhile, he's a diehard Arsenal fan. Make it make sense.
Well, and then Tom doing the once again, Tom doing the Lord's work. Did you see the Angus Gunn Aaron Connolly incident from the weekend, where it was Hull and Norwich, and so we're going into the championship, so we're going a little bit outside our purview. But Tom once again doing the Lord's work and letting us see it. Basically, Angus Gunn, the keeper for Norwich, goes up for a ball, and basically his how would we best phrase this? His vertical got it to a point to where he was his right hip was a good 5.5, 6 feet in the air. And he hits Aaron Connolly with his right hip square in the mush. Go ahead and click on the link in the Twitch pitch. You can once again, you can look for review. And Connolly, the player for Hull, was the one who was Tommy was given a foul, I believe, in this case. So go ahead and look at this. If you do an Angus Gunn Aaron Connolly search on the 280 character app, it'll give that to you too. I know. It literally, honestly, Angus Gunn goes up and he just absolutely plants into Aaron Connolly, and they give the Hull City player the foul call.
Oh!
Uh-huh. Yeah. So the Hull City player was the one that got destroyed and got lit up, but he also was the one that got the whistle.
Make it make sense.
So
I can't stop watching this. Oh! I mean, did he get stretchered off?
I mean, it was.
What? Oh my gosh.
Uh-huh.
I mean, listen, I'm a goalkeeper and I understand, like quarterbacks, you got to protect us, but at some point the players need protecting from something like that. I mean, that's just, oh my Lord.
I mean, literally he goes in with the elbow and the hip and literally lays him out. Angus Gunn lays out Aaron Connolly, and Connolly was the one that got the whistle on it.
How?
Uh-huh. That's the manager for Newcastle. But yeah, you just get the wildest situations. So then let me and since we're talking about this today, and we're talking about in officiating, you have managers in the Premier League, and Maddie, let me start with you. You have managers in the Premier League who basically say that VAR has no place right now in the Premier League.
Yeah.
I think that these managers are somewhat ill-informed with their opinions. It has a place, but you need to have folks that need to know how to drive the car. I think you can't just sit there and give them the driver's license and go, "Hey, look, here's a stick. Here's a 5-speed. Go ahead and drive." But that's kind of where we are right now. These managers are saying about what has been Bart flew back and actually had to go straight to work. So when Bart is available to come back in, normally Bart's on at 10, but because he had to fly back from his tournament in Las Vegas, which he won, had to fly a red eye and then report directly to work. We will bookmark these events. But Abby, I mean, when you look at VAR, Abby, when you look at VAR, Maddie, and you sit there and you're going, okay, how do we fix this? Go ahead. How do we fix VAR in the Premier League? Go ahead and give me your ideas.
I think VAR is definitely a good tool, because I think completely getting rid of it, I understand where people are coming from, that it's like ruining the way the game is played. And in some instances, yes, but in some instances, no. I think it's a great tool, especially for those calls that are just crazy. It allows for the refs to go back and get a clearer look and to make a better informed decision. Now, with that being said, you also need to have people who understand how the game of soccer is played. You need to have people who know what calls are what and how to make that informed decision. Because, and also too, I think consistency is a huge thing. I talk about this a lot with MLS too. Just it refs in general. There will be some games in that same weekend where one foul will be considered a red card, but then the next game, the exact same foul happens and no call is given. It's consistency. You have to have consistency when it comes to these things. And I don't know how that works. The consistency of everything that happens with VAR, with reffing and everything like that, there has to be like a bylaw. And I think especially with VAR, if refs who completely choose to ignore it and just don't even try to look at it, that's another issue. You have refs who are like, no, I saw it. It's good. But it's like, you have the tool. Why don't you use it? Yep. So I don't think it should be completely taken out, but I think that we need to do a lot more with learning how to use it, learning where it needs to come in, and having people behind it who know what they're looking for and what decisions need to be made.
Absolutely. You're dealing with the human element that's attached to all of it.
Which is very true. You have it's hard too, because you'll look at some of them and then you'll be like, that was a lot harder than the other one was. And so it's hard, you're dealing with humans. It's consistency is hard, but I think training, exactly what she's saying there. I don't know if you want to pull that up, but better training worldwide is huge. Yeah. There needs to be a better system for that.
Yep. All right. So in you guys will be back for Prem and Proper, the actual show on Friday. What are you guys looking at here over the next couple of days with the 50-50 schedule that we had coming up this weekend? It's going to be an interesting run because the teams that we saw, we ain't seeing them. You got Arsenal, Crystal Palace, Brentford, and Forest at the G-Tech. Sheffield United, West Ham, Bournemouth, Liverpool, and Brighton and Wolves is Monday Night Football before we take another weekend for FA Cup action and then get you ready for the midweek once again, Tuesday, January 30th and the 31st. So we're dealing with midweeks and all this kind of stuff. When you look at the 5 matches that are coming up this weekend, Drew, what sticks in your head?
It's not a very sexy lineup, that's for sure. But I think the Brentford Forest game is going to be very fun. I think it's going to be a very fast, high-paced matchup. I'm excited to see what Solanke can do, keep up his momentum against Liverpool. Talked about it before with Wolves having some Asian Cup players missing. Brighton's always fun to watch. But like I said, not very, the matchups, you don't have many sexy matchups. Not very.
No, you don't.
I don't expect many of these to be on Peacock, so people will actually want to watch them. But it's a big week for Arsenal. Arsenal, City getting healthy. Obviously, KDB back. Arsenal has to keep their momentum up. They got to figure out a way to at least get 3 points to stay in contention. But because, like I said, it's a new year. It's past Christmas. Their time to fall down the rankings it could continue to be bad for them. And we don't know what they're going to make as far as January signings. So I think it's a big week for Arsenal.
Maddie, what are you looking forward to? And the non-sexy matchups that are coming up this week?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like looking at it. I'm like, probably Brighton and Wolves. I think that one is the most even matchup because, you have Brighton at number 8 and then you got Wolves at 11. I think that one is going to be definitely a telltale about how everything's going down. Yeah. That's I'll be watching all of them. And I mean, it'll be interesting to see kind of, I guess, with Nottingham Forest and then obviously playing against Brentford, especially if they get that point deduction, seeing interesting how that one will turn out. So
yeah, FFP hanging over everybody's heads with Everton and Forest. And I know that our Evertonians that are watching and listening as they always do, they're trying to keep their head low when it comes to all of this.
They always want to come for the low bottom scrap feeders, but Man City's over here winning trebles and Champions Leagues, and they're just, we'll talk about City when it's worthy, but yeah, we'll deduct the Everton for the second time this season. But I digress. We'll leave it at that.
All right, so Drew, what's behind you? What's the oddly colored scarf behind you? Because folks want to know.
It is my Manchester United Atlanta official Manchester United supporter club scarf.
Ooh.
If you know about Fido in Midtown, we are an official Manchester United supporters club. If you want to go in the pub match days, they're always live, whether it's a 7:30 kickoff or a Champions League, Europa League matchup during the middle of the week. Find one of the presidents of the supporters club, get you a scarf. They also have, I'm not too sure, since COVID has come and gone, we used to do yearly memberships to where you get 20% off food, $5 Boddington cans. So it's fun, and it's always a good time.
What he said. All right. So as always, it's great to catch up with you two for Prem and Proper, the review. Looking forward to Prem and Proper on Friday, where you guys get to look at the non-sexy matchups and everything that happened during the week. Don't ever hold back, guys. Because I was noticing today that you guys were kind of holding your opinions back a little bit. You're trying to be nice to everything that was going on. I kid because I care. At Madison Cruz 7 and at Dickinson JR 18 on the 280 character app. Y'all, it's always great to catch up with you. We will listen to you on Prem and Proper on Friday.
Woot woot.
Because it is always too sweet. Be good, y'all. That's Drew and that's Maddie, and it's always good to catch up with the two of them. Hutch is looking for more OTA broadcasts of EPL matches in 24. Pars is looking for better training. Is there one out there that could be adopted? I think it's just reps. And we talk about training and such and, those kinds of things. And legitimately, I'm thinking that they need more reps when it comes to, and then Maddie mentioned the confidence factor of having, veteran officials on the field, and then you might have a younger VAR, and the younger VAR doesn't want to step on the toes of the more experienced official downstairs. Be good, Abby. Thank you as always. And yes, have a great MLK Day of service. Yes, absolutely. And Darren Van Tassel had some really good words, and I will finish the show with that coming up in just a little bit. But I think that when and I think that's a part of it, where you have a VAR who's young and impressionable and doesn't want to step on any toes early in their career, they may not sit there and overrule a more experienced official, having those kinds of things. Or if you're an experienced official and you're up in the booth and you've got a younger official downstairs, and that dynamic, plays itself out on the flip side too. But I think the biggest thing is reps. The biggest thing is reps. Yeah, and Pars not stepping on toes seems to be a culture problem. No empowerment. Yeah, and I mean, if you're confident in your work and you're confident in who you are, then that should be a part of all of this. So I think A, it's reps, and B, as we go forward, I think that it's just understanding that VAR ain't going nowhere. I think that we also need to have but this is the difficult part of it as well in the Premier League, because the venues are different and your camera angles aren't going to be the same in each and every venue. You won't have the same slash to be able to benefit you on an offside call that you could have elsewhere. You won't have, you've got the goal line technology, you've got Cyclops there, which is great. I'd love to have something like Cyclops field wide, something like that, where you have the sensors working their way through. I don't know how you make sure that happens, but you try to have as many cameras in as many uniform positions as you can when it comes to VAR. But I still think that Major League Soccer needs to have goal line technology, and, because they had the Target goal line cam sponsored and everything, sponsor it and have the camera right there. That's what you need. Have the camera right there. That'd be another thing for Major League Soccer. But the biggest thing is getting reps and being confident in who you are and in your decisions and communication. So Abby mentioned where's Bart. So when we get into these discussions about Burnley and Luton and about what happened in Hull and Norwich, that you can have things like that. I have not heard of any kind of repercussion from the official on the Connolly call on the foul. I don't know why, when you get a hip check to the head plus a forearm shiver, that you're getting called for a foul, but okay. But I have yet to hear anything about any kind of EFL redo, whatever, however you want to call it. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo before we go. NYCFC's made a couple of moves. Andres Perea has been picked up by the Philadelphia Union via trade. And that is, once again, this is from NYCFC. NYCFC announced they picked up Andres Perea from the Union in exchange for $650 in AM, $350 GAM 24, $325 plus an additional $150 in performance-based incentives. So Andres Perea goes from NYC over to from Philly to NYC. Roald Mitchell, the Wake Forest forward, Montclair native, signed his contract with Red Bulls from the Super Draft. We mentioned Driussi getting his green card. Also on the board this morning, NYC made a formal offer to Racing to purchase Agustin Trapito Ojeda. It's in the final stage, figures and percentages of the operation being finalized. That is from Cesar Luis Merlo. Signings over the weekend that we have not had the chance to discuss. News. We get into news and we get into Transfer Tracker. So Transfer Tracker. Let's see. CF Montreal have signed Joaquin Sosa on loan from Bologna. Makes sense. Once again, Joey Saputo with the cross traffic. Chicago Fire have signed Danish center back Tobias Salkvist from Silkeborg under contract through 25 with an option for 26. Sporting director Georg Heitz said that they've been monitoring for almost 18 months, impressed with many of his qualities. So Tobias Salkvist is now a part of Chicago Fire. RSL have loaned Rubio Rubin to Querétaro, and that's another interesting one. FC Dallas re-signed keeper Jimmy Maurer. NYCFC signed homegrown keeper Alex Rando. Seattle Sounders have signed defender Jonathan Bell from All Caps, where he was last year. Red Bulls have signed center back Noah Isle from Malmo under contract through 27 with an option for 28, arriving as a U22, joining Emil Forsberg, who joined them back in December. So another Swede. Orlando City has loaned Luca Petrasso to Triestina. Seattle have signed forward Bradilio Rodriguez. DC United signed MLS Superdraft selection Jacob Morel. And Sounders have signed Joss Atencio to a new deal. They signed Nathan. You remember Nico Moreno mentioning that signing as a part of his segment back on Thursday. Corey Baird is official as well. And Sebastian Breza has been signed from Bologna as well. So Sebastian Breza back from Bologna under contract through 25, options for 26 and 27. So you have Jonathan Sirois, Logan Ketterer, coach from Laurent Courtois, Sebastian Breza back between the sticks for CF Montreal. Let me take a quick peek, see if I've missed anything. Ornstein mentioning the agreement with Mabry. Everton and Forest. I wanted to get into this before we go. Let me clear my throat one more time. All right, Everton and Forest. We talked about it a little bit in Prem and Proper. Expected to be referred to an independent commission over Premier League's profitability and sustainability. It's FFP. Clubs will learn on Monday whether they have fallen foul of the new guidelines for FFP. Once again, remember, you can only lose a maximum of £105 million over a rolling 3-year reporting cycle. And Newcastle said that they'd lost 70 million or so, 72 or 3. So they can only lose another 30 over 2 years, or they're in violation of FFP. Everton are already appealing their 10-point deduction. Forest would join Manchester City as the only top-flight clubs breaking the regs. Both clubs have prepared mitigation and are expected to, according to Ornstein, robustly argue their case. Forest's permitted losses are lower than the $105 million limit because they were in the Football League during a portion of the accounting period. Their top figure instead amounts to $61 million, which breaks down as 13 and 35. 13 in each of the championship seasons, and then 35 for the Premier League season. Forest always at risk of having spent around $250 million on new signings since securing promotion. And then you had Farhad Moshiri, the new stadium, all that kind of stuff. Forest will likely point to the transfer of Brennan Johnson as mitigation, and Everton's argument, as in their current appeal, is going to center on the expenditure around Bramley Moore Dock. Clubs had to submit accounts by the end of the calendar year. Breaches and subsequent charges confirmed 2 weeks later. Independent commission hearing everything. And the backstop date for everything is May 24th. For any appeal, which may raise the prospects of clubs completing their league season May 19th. And they may not know if they are going to be up or not. Up or down or no. We won't have any idea. Sir Jim Ratcliffe, hopefully, of the Manchester United minority investment will be official by mid-February. Jadon Sancho had issues all the way through his time at Manchester United, according to Eric Ten Hag. Real Madrid beat Barcelona in the Supercopa de España final. Let's see. Andre Onana has reported for Cameroonian duty at AFCON, but will not feature in the opening game of the tournament. He played 90 minutes against Spurs. On the weekend, they face Guinea in the Group C opener later today. Lamina returns to Wolves for the Brentford clash. Mario Lamina is back in the squad after returning to France following the death of his father, returned to training today. Memphis, Guirassy, and Keane could be looked to be signed by teams looking in the Premier League. The loan spell for Calvin Ramsey at Preston North End is over. He has been recalled by Liverpool. 2 appearances during his injury time there at Deepdale. Hadn't featured for Preston since their loss to QPR back in early December. And according to Adam Leventhal at The Athletic, Israeli footballer Sagi Yehezkel has been excluded by Antalyaspor and is facing being sacked after displaying a message of support for Israeli hostages taken during the Hamas attack on October 7. Celebrated his equalizing goal for Antalyaspor against Trabzonspor by revealing a Star of David and a message on a bandage covering his left wrist, which read 100 days, 07-10, referring to the 100 days which have passed since the Hamas attacked Israel on October 7. FIFA regulations state that players' equipment must not have any political, religious, or personal slogans, statements, or images, and that any that do so face sanctions by the competition organizer, the National FA, or FIFA itself. Let's see. Jonathan Panzo has returned to Nottingham Forest following his loan spell at Cardiff City. Timo Werner is not focused on a goal tally after his move to Tottenham. Spain and Brazil announced an anti-racism friendly match March 26th at the Bernabeu, the game using the tagline, "The Same Skin," as an anti-racism message. Dorival Jr. is the new manager of Brazil. His first match in charge will be a home at Wembley against England on March 23rd. Spain manager Luis de la Fuente is set to sign a new contract that will see him manage the men's team through the World Cup in 2026. Deal currently is set to expire at the end of June of this year. Jacob Ramsey set to undergo a scan on a hamstring problem after missing Villa's draw with Everton on Sunday. So, where are we? Pitchers and catchers have reported for Atlanta United. And the pictures are out there for those of you on the media that is social. And you can see how everybody is styling as they're walking in the front door. So physicals were physicals were Saturday. First day of camp is today, and they're off and running. Obviously, we'll keep an eye on what's going on with Thiago Almada. Remember, the trigger, Angel Correa to Saudi Arabia. That happens, same agent, Thiago Almada preferred. Rumors about folks being signed or saying that means that deal is off. Don't know that yet. Don't know an update on Bartosz Slić. He was heading this way to perhaps have his medical over the weekend. No word on Slić yet, and whether or not the $3.5 million transfer from Legia Warsaw is locked in place. And so we will keep an eye on all of that. And so apparently also now it's like, you're hoping to trigger an article and then it doesn't get triggered. It's like That's all I wanted was the update. I wanted the update. And I thought I was going to be getting the update, but I guess I'm not getting the update on let me see if I can find it quickly. Telegraph sends you a bolo about what's going on with Everton, and here we go. Okay. Literally as of 6 minutes ago. John Percy from the Telegraph, they've officially been hit with the new Premier League charges for allegedly breaching financial regulations. Both clubs believe they have strong cases to fight the prospect of fresh penalties, and they were informed just hours before the initial announcement that they were facing charges, and that's where we are. So it is officially official with Everton and with Nottingham Forest, and facing a new round of charges for violating FFP. On that note, we'll be taking it easy for the rest of the day. I wanted to end on the Darren Van Tassel quotation that he posted today about what to do today. Do something positive, big or small. Makes no matter for your fellow humans today. Thank you, Dr. King. So that's from Darren Van Tassel, and we all should agree to doing something like that. Do something positive, big or small, makes no matter for your fellow humans today. And we'll be back at it again tomorrow at 9:05. We'll be discussing things. And when Bart is available, when he is not taking red eyes after winning national championship trophies, we can discuss. But once again, sign up for the tournament over at Top Golf in 10 days' time and help out mini pitches on the south side, on the Southern Crescent. And like I said, when we know more about the scarves for the Marshall Islands, we get a price point, we'll let you know. And that should be coming in short order. And we'll be doing it again tomorrow. So back at it again tomorrow at 9:05. We'll be talking stuff, all the MLS, all the world, all the things. That's the official term. So for Maddie, for Drew, for Jarrett, for Nick, I'm just John. It's another go-round of SDH here on the Monday Soccer's Morning Show. Rolls on, heading towards season number 8 at the end of the month. And we will have some announcements to go on there as well. So for everybody here at SDH, thanks for hanging out with us for one more round of soccer down here on a Monday. Enjoy your Monday. Back at it again on Tuesday. Stay warm. Keep an eye on your plants, your people, and your pets. We'll be back at it again tomorrow, 9:05. End of the show. That means I get to do this. Mucha Platiel. Play it safe. We'll see you again tomorrow.